This is episode 1 of Blow Up, the Creator Podcast. It's the show with and for social media creators.
A podcast about elevating your platform, growing your income, and designing a life that you actually love.
We're your hosts,
Anna Bain.
And I'm Jordan Hovater.
And we really can't believe that this is our first episode, and we're so excited to take all of you along on the journey with us. So I guess we should just get right to it and introduce our first guest ever. You may recognize him from a little reality TV show called The Bachelor.
Or by his nickname, Pilot Pete.
It's Peter Weber.
Yeah.
And in this episode, we're going to chat about his crazy fast rise to fame, how to have a mentally and emotionally healthy relationship with social media, with how to live with other creators, and more.
So sit back and enjoy our conversation with Peter Weber, or Pilot Pete, as you are affectionately known. Thank you for joining the podcast today. How are you?
I am good, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Had a great time with Embassy on our first trip we did there. So stoked you guys got this podcast up and running, and excited to be here.
We were very honored to have you as our first guest ever. It's a big deal.
Man,
so,
no pressure. All right.
I know. And hopefully there's more trips where that came
I am
from
honored.
too.
I am absolutely honored.
Yeah, we hope to see you again
for
soon
sure.
on another trip, hopefully.
Name your island and we'll try to make it happen.
Ireland? You said Ireland?
I said name your island and we'll try to make it happen.
Name my island.
But that is an island, so if you want to go there, let me know.
This is true. No, Belize was unreal. That was a really, really special trip. Ton of great memories and just a great group of people. So yeah, I'm definitely down for the next trip. Just let me know.
Well, let's make it happen. So for our audience, Pete, you probably don't need much of an introduction, but just catch us up on you and your life. So who is Peter Weber? Where did you come from, and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so I am an airline pilot. I fly for United Airlines, fly the Boeing 787, and been flying for, about 11 years now. A couple airlines before getting to United. And travel is my passion. I love it more than anything. It makes me feel, more alive than really anything else I can do in my life. And so obviously I chose a profession that allows me to do just that. It's been super cool. A lot of opportunities from the show The Bachelor, opening a lot of doors as well to, opening a door to connect with you guys and do some cool trips and get some great content, meet some great people. I've been very fortunate just with kind of the course my life's kind of taken here, especially in the last couple of years, and very, very grateful.
All right, awesome. Well, so obviously we know that you've been living in New York for a little while. You've been flying out of Newark, if I'm correct.
Yes,
okay,
I fly
cool.
out of Newark.
So how's New York been treating you recently?
New York's incredible. I've been here now for about a year and a half, and it is just as magical, if not more, than I thought it'd be coming out here from LA. I just always had that dream to, go do New York for like a year or two, and then now I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna leave. It's
awesome.
It's incredible. The energy is unreal. The flying I get to do out of Newark is honestly the best in the system. A ton of Europe, going out there to India and Middle East. So flying's incredible. The scene out here, the social scene is just so much fun. There's always something going on, and just really been living it up.
What's the longest flight on your schedule as of late?
The longest flight I have done is Delhi back to Newark.
Wow.
Coming westbound. It's about just over 16 hours.
So how do you stay awake for that long? Are you a coffee guy or?
You definitely drink a lot of coffee. So doing this long haul flying is obviously different than a lot of the flying I was doing before. Like the 737, it was mainly domestic and a lot shorter routes, not really anything international like overseas. So this kind of flying, there's more than 2 pilots. We're always augmented, if not double augmented. So for a flight that's a 16-hour flight to India, we actually have 4 pilots up in the cockpit. We actually have 2 captains, 2 first officers, and what we'll do is essentially I'm very junior with the airline, and especially with this airplane. So I'm always a bunkie, which is really the relief pilot. So I'll be sitting in the jump seat with the other captain who's a relief captain, and we'll all be in the cockpit, take off together about 15 minutes into the flight. We'll go, we split the flight time in half, and we'll go sleep for about 7 hours. So go knock out and get some good rest, and then we'll come back 7 hours after, relieve the other two guys, they'll go sleep. So it's not as hard or as rough as it maybe sounds, because you're really only flying half that flight time, you're sleeping the other half. So it's all about managing your sleep, and obviously being on the other side of the clock. That's an adjustment, but it's been incredible so far.
What a trek. Well, congratulations on all your success and progression as a pilot and with the airline you're at. Yeah. And I'm glad New York's treating you well too. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you got some roommates we know pretty well too. Yeah.
Yes. Some embassy alum in Dustin Kendrick, Clay Harbor. Dustin and I, we actually moved out here about a year and a half ago, and then we had a lease for about a year, and then the second place we got now, Clay, ended up moving in with us, so we got a 3-bedroom, and it's been a blast. We're really rarely ever home at the same time, obviously with my work schedule, and Clay honestly probably travels more than I do, to be completely honest. So he's always somewhere. And but when we are here together, it's a fun time for sure.
So obviously, since y'all are all creators, like you mentioned earlier, what is it like working and living kind of all under the same roof as creators? Do y'all like support each other, bounce ideas off, all that kind of stuff? It is
it's awesome. It's very unique. It's cool for me specifically. I was kind of like, this whole world kind of just opened up for me. Obviously very quickly, one day to the next, and I know that's not the norm. And so this, idea of creating, being a creator and making content and all that just was never anything that was on my radar. So never was something I thought I'd be doing. Obviously flying is my passion, and that's, what I want to do until I have to retire. But having this door open has been, a blessing, and it's been incredible. It's been a ton of fun. I definitely feel like the novice of the group compared to like Dustin and Clay. They honestly have it's good, because if you're ever like lacking for creativity, or like you're just, it's like writer's block, and you just don't know what to do with, whatever it is that you're working on. It's cool having, 2 other guys there that are in the same boat and can bounce ideas off each other. And they're hilarious too. So I'm not the funniest guy, but having them around definitely helps spice some humor into my stuff.
Hey,
so it's been good.
Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah,
and forget all these TikTok content houses. I want to be at the Bachelors in the City house. This is the content house I want to be at. Some solid dudes under that roof.
Yeah.
So all of you met presumably through the Bachelor franchise, right? And you alluded a second ago that all this kind of happened so quickly for you. So walk us through why and how that occurred. So how did you wind up on the show, on The Bachelorette, correct, in the first place? And what was that process like in the beginning, going from airline pilot to now, I'm a reality TV star. I have more eyes on me now. What was that like?
Right. It was weird, man. It was very weird. And there's no way to prepare for it. So I met Dustin. Dustin was on the same season on The Bachelorette, and then Clay was on, I think, 1 or 2 prior to us. So I didn't meet him till later on. But Dustin and I immediately connected, became really close throughout our experience on the show. And man, it's crazy, because again, I'd always been this I still am, this hopeless romantic that I had seen the show for years. I think the first season I saw was the last pilot, and it was like 10 years before my season. I was in college, my freshman year, and 2 of our friends, my roommate, we had some friends, and they invited us over to watch all the episodes. And so I kind of got like into it that way, and obviously never, thought, oh, maybe that'll be me one day. But always have kind of been this guy that's been like a hopeless romantic, right? So fast forward now, I was like 26, 27, and I get a DM on Instagram from a producer just reaching out, kind of like doing a cold call. And I thought it was like fake. I didn't really think it was real, but then they sent me like an official email. I'm like, oh, look at that. That's kind of cool. Wow. I just gotten out of a relationship recently, and it was kind of perfect timing. So I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's go with it. And you never know. Like, I'm always someone that I'm never gonna say no. Like, I always want to try something new once at least. And so kind of went with it. Was super excited. It's a long process, a couple months of testing and all that, and auditioning kind of thing. And then it happened, and it's like, wow, holy shit. Now I had to actually get the time off from work, which was like a whole nother struggle in itself, because some people leave their jobs, for that experience, but that wasn't going to be me. So had to get creative in some ways, and just the whole I look back on it, and the whole for me it was about a 2-year experience with the 2 seasons, and press stuff. It kind of was about a full 2 years, and it was just such a oh my god, what a cool experience. Insane, so much happened, but definitely a moment that I'll look back on for the rest of my life and be like, wow, I'm so happy I did that.
I did not know that you didn't apply, nor did any of your friends apply for you behind your back. That's
crazy.
It's a compliment that they sought you out like that.
Yeah, it's funny. I had about 4 or 5 years prior, I did go to and I was way too young to be going on it then, but I had gone to this casting call. I was living in Newport, and I had one in Costa Mesa. It was thousands of people show up, and went in for a little quick 5-minute brief to talk to someone. Never heard anything. So I don't know if, I don't think so, but who knows? I guess it's always a possibility that stayed in their records. But it was about 4 or 5 years after, just a random DM on Instagram, and
stars aligned.
It's kind of crazy.
That really is wild. So kind of going off of the whole Bachelorette conversation, what was your relationship like with social media before the Bachelorette? Were you a big poster? Did you post anything? Were you more a story guy, or did you really just you were that kind of guy that had 3 posts on your Instagram? What's the real story?
I to be completely honest, I get told by my manager all the time, I have to post more, I got to do more. It's just, you go into that experience, and truly, in the moment, I was like, all right, hopefully, this works for me. That'd be cool to have an awesome, documented journey to go find someone, and hopefully it works out. But you really don't understand kind of what comes with the social media aspect after, and how you're just thrust into this spotlight, and all these opportunities come up. So no, I was never this huge social media person. I don't have a Twitter, never had a Twitter, never got one. I got Instagram, and I remember my brother, he made, I got Instagram late, and my brother and all of his friends had it already, my little brother. And so he's like, hey, you should get this. And I was like, okay. And so he was the one that created, I didn't know what name to do it. And he's like, hey, do Pilot Pete. And so he gave me my name for Instagram, and excuse me, just kind of took off, I guess. I guess no pun intended with that, but it kind of took off. And
did your brother get paid royalties
I
now?
Still royalties. I take good care of my brother. Yeah, we're very close.
Good man.
I'm sure he takes a lot of credit on that one.
He is responsible for copyright there.
So what is it like when you are starting the show? It's clear, at least from an audience perspective, that most contestants do get some kind of social media training or parameters about what they're supposed to do. What did that look like once you joined?
So yeah, with the show specifically, they're very, very serious about social media and what you can and can't do. You have a ton of contracts that you sign, and you meet with lawyers, and get all that stuff kind of squared away. And so you got to keep a lot of stuff obviously close to the vest. That's the nature of the show, and it's their intellectual property, right? So they have all the rights, and you sign all your rights away essentially. So you can't really complain about anything. But in regards to kind of social media training after, you don't really get any training per se for that. It was more, if there was any type of training, it's going on a reality show. You're no one. You're not a celebrity. You're not an athlete or a movie star, or you're just a normal person. So they give you training on how to do press kind of stuff after, and interviews, and how to maybe navigate around tough questions, and that kind of stuff. Because again, as just a normal person just off the street, you never had any experience with that. So that's really the biggest kind of training that the show gives you.
Give us the, I guess, just fly through of how season 15 went for you. We don't have to go into great detail, but just keeping our audience filled in. What happened to you that season? How did it end up and shake out?
Yeah, so went on the show, and I had no idea what was going to happen. Just kind of was open to any kind of possibility there. Was made a good connection with the girl. Her name was Hannah, the Bachelorette, for that season, and it was definitely again, I'm more, people don't believe me when I say this, but like I'm actually very naturally reserved and more of a shy person. To, you know, be kind of outgoing, that takes, you know, a lot of kind of effort on my part. That's just not my natural kind of personality, but that was also a reason kind of why I was excited to do this kind of experience, to like, you know, have some opportunity for growth there and like make myself uncomfortable, because I always think that's, you know, one of the best things you can do in life is never allow yourself to stay too comfortable. So you know, that was a pro, but so definitely kind of had like a slow burn in the beginning. Took me a while. Definitely had like a lot of anxiety and just like nerves, and didn't know what I was getting myself into. And then naturally, just over the course of the 2 months of filming, it just, you know, you get used to it and you get more and more comfortable, and relationships started to grow as well, and made it pretty far, close to the end there. Was let go at number 3, and that was the end of my journey on The Bachelorette.
Wow. Okay. And so after that ended, obviously, you get sent home, and you're obviously back at your house and stuff. Did you really anticipate, as you got your phone back, you got all your social media back, did you anticipate everything following that, on how many people would be tuning in to watch you, how many people would start to follow you on Instagram, and how much really your life would really come into the spotlight?
No, because you really, you know, you have everything taken away, right? You have no phone, no iPad or anything, or connection to the outside world. Obviously, you're not on social media. So I remember, you know, the first time that that I got my phone back. So we'd gone to like Paris. Where I left the show was in Crete, Greece, and for like, they had one more week of filming. So instead of like having me go back to the States, you know, so for like spoilers or people to see you, they sent me and my producer to Paris, and so we had a week there. And actually, I still didn't even get my phone out in Paris. Like, They were keeping everything hush for me still there. And yeah, and then finally getting back in the States, it's like it's crazy. We land back in LAX and going through the Tom Bradley terminal, and just randomly, producer, you know, as we're going down the escalators outside of customs, you know, she's like, all right, well, here's your phone, and we have you know, this is your car, your Uber going back to home. And it's just like, boom, you just go your separate ways. And it's like, that's just, wow, all this, you know, that just happened in the last 2 months, and then now I'm kind of thrust back into the real world again. And you have no idea, you know, what's happening, what people are saying. So that, you know, was kind of exciting, you know, just to start reading about everything. And you know, it's insane to have so much, you know, so Bachelor Nation is huge, right? And it's for a good reason. The show has done an incredible job of making a really entertaining show for a long time. And you know, while it's not necessarily, you know, a ton of you know, lifelong marriages that come out of it, there are some relationships that do make it, and for that, you know, you got to give it credit. So yeah, everything just starts kind of piling in, and then they like give you a date where you can go and kind of activate your or reactivate your Instagram and go, I guess, go public on stuff. And you know, they give you like some guidelines, I guess, for, you know, posting like the first you know, to kind of like set up for the first episode. And there's a lot of excitement there, and you just kind of have no idea what's going to happen or how, you know, people are going to receive you. But just to have so many people invested in your journey, it's like, wow, it takes a while to kind of get used to, because it's literally overnight.
That is crazy. So do you remember when the first time you got recognized in public then was? Was it on your way back from the airport?
Well, there's probably a calm before the storm,
Yeah.
right? So you get off the airplane, you get your
Exactly.
phone back. How long till the first episode aired? And then,
Yeah,
at
exactly.
what
When did
point
you first get
people
recognized?
start saying like, oh, wait, that's Peter.
Pilot Pete.
Yeah, I let's see here. We finished filming in like early to mid-May, and I want to say the season started end of May or like June, so it was only a couple weeks
wow.
before everything gets going. But it's actually a funny story. So when I was in Paris for that 1 week, you know, as you know, the other two guys are finishing filming with The Bachelorette, we were walking just to some cafe. We sat down in some cafe to get some lunch, and there was these two girls. You could tell they were American, you know, just speaking English with their accent. And we sat like 2 tables away from them, and I could hear, it was kind of eavesdropping. I could hear them saying, "Hey, that looks like the one of the guys on the new season of The Bachelorette, the Luke guy, Luke Stone." And Luke Stone was one of the guys on our season there, but obviously that wasn't me. And so it it was just funny. What are the odds that they would confuse, another person that actually was on that season, with one of the guys. So that was kind of funny just to, be in a completely different country, almost across the world, and kind of have people like recognize, that's just, there's no way to kind of prepare for that. So, it's kind of overnight, like I said.
Wow. And when you were finished with The Bachelorette, did you ever imagine that you would ever become The Bachelor?
No, I did not. It's funny now, like I look back and you kind of like piece together probably what was going on in like production's mind of where they wanted, storylines to go and what their plans were. For me, I had really bought into this, and I was like, no, this works. Like I'm, crazy about this girl and everything. So I'm in Paris there, and it's, I guess, later on, my producer, who you become very close to, she's like, yeah, we had a really good idea that it was going to be you from, the night that they sent you home. And really? In my head, though, I'm here like, this poor dog with my tail between my legs, just moping to her about, you think I could possibly go back to Crete, and like, you think she made a mistake, and like, I just don't understand it. Like, what if we did that? Like, is that allowable? And they probably are like laughing their ass off, thinking, "Dude, you got other things coming for you." So,
like, chill out, Pete.
yeah. So I didn't really think that was, I guess, a possibility until I think like halfway through The Bachelorette airing. I think it was like July. Just had a lunch with one of the execs, and kind of was like the first conversation, and then just kind of went from there.
Wow. Okay, so then how would you describe, from both seasons, obviously, as you were on The Bachelorette and The Bachelor, how would you describe your season in comparison to The Bachelorette, then becoming the lead and being The Bachelor? What's like the comparison from it?
It's nothing about it is alike. It's different in every aspect, obviously. It's so much more difficult being the lead. You have no idea, just like being responsible for so many people's feelings, and like knowing that you're going to impact them. That part was the part that I struggled with the most, just because most people don't enjoy hurting people, right? And that's just nature of the beast, being on the other side of things. And so definitely exhausting. They always say, like, the first half, you film for 2 months. The first half is just physically exhausting because, being the lead, you're involved on every single date. So you don't have any days off. Whereas on the other side, you have, a couple free days where you can just chill, maybe catch up on a little bit of sleep. But as a lead, you're literally going all day long, and you're, finishing a group date. And now you have to go back to the hotel and do some more interviews about all 5 women, right, that were on that group date. So you don't get to bed till like 4 a.m. and you're waking up at 7:30, 8 again. So the first month is exhausting physically, and then the second one obviously is there's less and less people there. It's not as like time, the timing is not as intense, but it's emotionally exhausting that second month, because now you're like invested, and now you're making legit real hard decisions, and you don't have all the information that you would hope you could have in that moment, and so you're kind of doing it as winging it. There's really no playbook essentially to really get it down right, and you just go with your heart and I hope you're making the right decision.
I feel like there's also a very big difference in perception from one season to another, because I remember watching your first season, and when you got sent home, I was devastated because
I was sad too.
I guess I never told you this, but in another life, I would be a pilot. I have always wanted to get my pilot's license. So watching that, I'm like, man, this guy is like me in another life. I really want this for him. He's a solid dude. So when you go home, it's like everyone is supporting you, right? And they're like your biggest fan, like, wow, she made a mistake. He should have stayed. And then when you go on as The Bachelor, all eyes are on you in a much more critical way, right? Because like you said, you have these heavy decisions. You're not trying to hurt anyone, but naturally, when you have to eliminate that many women, there's no way to not. So going from that first season to the second, how did your relationship with social media change as maybe some of these perceptions started getting tilted?
Oh yeah, I mean, on the Bachelorette, I don't think I got any real, maybe I'm wrong, but no real like critics or anything. Like it was all just a lot of support, which was, I was lucky in that regard. That's not always the case with everyone, but I've got a really good edit, was taken care of by production, and definitely developed this trust, with them from that first season, that also I felt like it had worked for me that first season too. Like I really felt like legitimate feelings. I didn't think they were just, it wasn't just infatuation, and it wasn't just like a product of being like in an awesome environment and how romantic it was. Like, no, I actually thought that it was working for me. So had this, new confidence that this could work for me again. And, then now when you're on the other side of it and you're making the decisions, naturally you're not going to please everyone, and you're going to have supporters, and you're going to have people that are against you and that disagree with you, and in the beginning it's very, again, the first season for me, it was a lot of love, and that's all it was, and it was awesome, but still having all this attention was like, this is odd. The second season, you're kind of used to that a little bit more now, but now you have to like really get some tough skin, because you're going to have people, you're going to have critics, and every single lead that's ever gone through this experience hasn't pleased every single person. So that I'm definitely grateful for, actually, and just having that experience to just really get that tough skin. I've always been I've described myself as like a people pleaser, and definitely did a little bit of that in my season, just because naturally that's who I am, and I couldn't really stray too far from that or try to be someone that I wasn't, but definitely learned to kind of pull back the reins on that a little bit and do things just for me. That was a big lesson that I learned, and naturally you're not going to please everyone, you're going to hurt people, and that's just life.
Yeah, Pete, one of the reasons I'm excited you're on the show today is because I think you're uniquely qualified to talk about this. So this is a podcast for creators, and most creators and influencers have the luxury, I guess you could call it, of adjusting to a large platform as they gradually build it over time. You, on the other hand, had the challenge of being thrown into the spotlight essentially overnight. I mean, talk about blow up. You did blow up overnight. So in light of how quickly you became famous, and then the roller coaster that ensued, how did you develop that tough skin that you were talking about? How did you adjust mentally and emotionally to this new reality?
Yeah, I think, it just kind of depends on the type of person you are. Like, listen, for me, this has been, I truly look back on the experience. It was incredible. And through all the highs, all the lows, like I don't regret it at all. Like I loved my experience, learned a ton, like I said, got a ton of tough skin from this whole experience. But I just lost my train of thought. Oh, shoot.
It's okay.
Take your time. So
what did you just ask again?
To boil it down, the question was, how did you develop that tough skin / another way to phrase it, how did you adjust mentally and emotionally to this new reality that you find yourself in?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, coming into this newfound reality, for me, it's always been cool. It's been different. It's been cool opportunities, but it's never been something that's defined me. Like, that's just me being very honest. And I don't think everyone else is like that. Like I said, I wasn't ever this big social media person before the show. Having now done it and having these opportunities, and it's, it'd kind of be dumb to say no to them. So I've kind of gotten out of my comfort zone a little bit in regards to that. But it always was weird to me. Like, I don't know, just being on reality TV again, I kind of alluded to it earlier. I didn't do anything special. I literally just dated, like I'm sure you guys have done plenty of, right? Everyone in this world has dated at some point. And that's literally all that anyone goes on the show does. We're not athletes, we're not musicians or these highly skilled people on TV per se, or for entertainment, just normal people. So I guess having that mindset, it's like, wow, I mean, yeah, it's crazy having, people now be so invested in your life, and it's definitely cool. I definitely appreciate the support, seeing people, in public, and it always, puts a smile on my face, and I hope that I can do the same, to them, if you stop for just say hi, take a picture, whatever. But again, it's just, I go back to it. Just, this has never really been something that has defined me, and like, it's just not my, being very honest, it's just not my main focus. And I'm a pilot first. That's what I've always said. And I've been blessed now to have the opportunity to create stuff and take advantage of some really cool opportunities, via the show. But that's second for me.
Even though you are pilot first, I think everything you said was so wise and so mature, because the part about it not defining you is applicable to everyone, creators specifically, but anyone on social media, right? Because if your identity is rooted in something that is so frail and especially dependent on other people's opinions,
Oh,
naturally
done.
when the lows come, inevitably it's going to be a personal attack, because that's what you're placing at the core of who you are. So the question that we would ask, other creators listening to this is, what does define you? What is your identity? Because your social media presence is a big part of your life.
Absolutely.
But if that is central to who you are as a person, that's not stable.
No, not at all.
No, it's not. And for sure, listen, like, we're all human, right? So again, being in this crazy opportunity and being thrust into this spotlight, it's true. If you really are putting, like, you're having this define you now, and like, oh, I'm, this is my thing, Instagram, and I'm an influencer now, and this is gonna be my whole life. And then you start getting like attacked and like having negative comments. You're setting yourself up for a very, very dark place that it could be very hard to get out of. And a lot of people have struggled, with just that. It's kind of just human nature. And how do you try to handle it the best way you can, but you're not perfect. And so, yeah, I don't know. I guess I've been fortunate. And don't get me wrong, like, I've definitely been affected by hearing, bad stuff, and you're human, so it does hurt. But at some point, you get to a point where just like, for me, I'd be like, I literally don't even know this person's first name, their middle name. I don't know their favorite color. I don't know where they are in this world right now. Why am I investing so much emotion in maybe something mean that they're saying? It has no bearing. And it's like, it's funny. I'd always say, like, in person, you'll never have anyone say anything. It's all love. It's all just like, high vibes, positive vibes. It's all like the keyboard warriors online that they'll go say stuff. And once you realize, wow, that's really all it is. It's not real life. That's just on the internet, and it's zeros and ones that are being typed on a screen. Like, in real life, none of that stuff happens, and people just like are cool people and understand that you're a human being, and not, no one's perfect. It's once you get that perspective, for me, that was pretty huge. And again, I think just not letting it define me, and staying rooted, like, this is cool. I'm very, very grateful for it. But like I said, pilot first.
Reminds me of a Drake line that says, trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers. And that's what it is? Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
goodness,
very
that's
true.
So funny. I think it's so great that you said, I don't even know what their favorite color is or their middle name. I think that's hilarious. I think that's so funny.
It's true, but it's like, you still, and I had it. I was a victim of it. Like, and you care about all these like opinions, and it's like, but why? Why are you doing that to yourself?
Obviously, with your transition of everybody was so positive, as you were saying, and then having to transition into kind of giving a lot more heat, obviously becoming the Bachelor. So when you would get through those hard times, and when those like trolls or those super fans would go a little bit crazy on you, did you have any specific, like, really easy tactics that you would use, whether it's like, let me log out of Instagram, or let me go on a walk, or let me go on a run, when the heat would get to be a lot? Because obviously you were under some scrutiny. And so were there any like practical ways that you could advise other creators that may be going through the same thing that were super helpful to you on a very practical sense?
To be just very blunt and very honest, I am so quick to block people. If there is anything
Good
that
for you.
I love it.
And like, it's, maybe people are like, oh, I don't want to block people and lose followers, but it's like, there's the way I live my life is, if you're not providing, like, if you're only trying to bring me down, offer negativity, like, that's just so opposite of where my life path is going, that I just don't have time for that, and I'm not going to entertain it, and I'm just not going to allow myself to see it. And so it's a great tool on Instagram. If there's one mean comments, all right, it's done. And you forget about it, out of sight, out of mind. And maybe that sounds mean and blunt, but it's just, that's what I do, and it's been very helpful. You do have, on social media, a lot of these kind of like protections or securities to to help, I guess, with your mental health, because that definitely can get affected from just hearing this over and over and over. So I'm not afraid to block any negativity.
No, I think that's great. I think it's a wonderful tactic, actually. I mean, you gotta
keep dropping the hammer, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, bye.
Yeah, no, and again, you don't even, 2 seconds later, you don't even remember it, and it's done. So
because you can't say it again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
does living with Dustin and Clay help with the mental side of this? Like, are you guys able to keep each other healthy and sharp as it pertains to your mentality?
Yeah, I mean, we're extremely close. Like Dustin's, my best friend. Gotten very close with Clay, here just in, a couple months we've lived together. But, just having a cool common ground there, an experience that we all experienced together for the most part. It's great to have that support system. And, outside from just my roommates, we still talk to, I still talk to a lot of the guys from, the original season I was on with the Bachelorette. And, it's cool just to have people. You'll never get it. You just won't. It's impossible to unless you've been through the experience. But if you've been through it, it's so helpful and refreshing and healthy to just like talk it out with people that understand it and have your best interest and have dealt with the highs, the lows. They have that experience too. So definitely cool to lean on that community.
I think a lie that we as men are often told in our culture is that if you're going to be a strong man, you need to figure this out yourself. Vulnerability is a sign of weakness, which I would advocate that it's quite the opposite.
I would strongly disagree with that, actually, being a woman. So
yeah, I 100%. I think
gotta wear your heart on your sleeve.
one of the strongest things you can do, for sure. Like that's not a weakness at all. Being vulnerable, allowing your soul to truly come out in its most pure form. What's weak about that? And nothing.
I'm thankful you guys have that support system at your place in NYC. So give them our best whenever you see them next. Yeah. So as we alluded to, you quite literally blew up overnight.
Yeah.
You're adjusting to this new sense of reality and the struggles that come with the presence of a massive audience on social media. Shifting to kind of the business side of this, at what point in time did you start using this platform for more content creation and specifically brand deals? Like, how did that start? Did you seek any of this out, or did they just flock to you and you filtered through them?
Yeah, so you have like a grace period or like a waiting period that you have to, in your contract before you can start doing any type of influencing deals. I think it's about, I want to say it's about 3 months before you can do anything. And then for the first year, you're under contract for exclusivity. So the show obviously has the rights to, deny whatever they want, or, they have to prove everything. So after that year, you're released. So yeah, just from the business side of it, again, that was all brand new to me. I had no idea what was going on. Had a bunch of, it's crazy how these people find you, right? But just a bunch of managers and agents kind of reach out, and it just is kind of overwhelming, to be completely honest. Is like because going from the Bachelorette to the Bachelor, you don't, the other guys had a different path where 3 months after that, then they started getting into all this. But for me, I was like delayed a good, probably half a year, 6-7 months. And then I got my kind of start. And just having people reach out and want to work with you. And you're just like, who can I trust? Who can I not trust? Like just taking kind of, meetings and seeing who you kind of vibe with. I was very fortunate to meet a great friend first and foremost. But, I'm a manager who I work with, and, I've been very lucky. I can trust him. And, it's fun. It's a whole different world. And if you've never been in it, it's very interesting. And again, like the opportunities are incredible. So for that, I'm extremely grateful.
Yeah, that's awesome. So obviously you said you had a manager. So is he the one that kind of just like picks and chooses what brands you're going to work with? Or is that something that you get a heavy say in? Or does he kind of just like send you a list and he's like, here you go, Pete, this is what you got to do this week? Right.
Yeah. No, I obviously I always have the final say, but my manager will go out and he's just got he's got connections and relationships with a lot of these brands and marketing companies. So if there's a good fit, he'll bring it to me, and then I'll say yes or no. And if it's a yes, then we'll get going on it and start thinking up some creative ways to get this out there. And that's kind of that. Yeah.
A huge question mark in the industry that we found is a lot of creators have no idea what they're worth financially. Like, how do I price myself? What are brands willing to pay for this content? So do you have any, I guess, processes for how you structure your deals in terms of pricing, content use, et cetera?
To be honest, I actually stay very, very hands off. I've always, I've told told my manager, like, I want you to do everything. And I just, obviously I'm very busy with just my actual job of flying, and I don't want to be, going back and forth, doing any negotiating. So literally he does everything. He gets the deal, gets the okay for me, signs the contract and all that stuff, gets all the, deliverables and all the, the points that we have to hit. And I stay kind of very hands off from that. And I trust, him for, his judgment for, pricing and all that, what's fair. So again, I'm just lucky that, I have good trust and good relationship, with him.
A good thing for you and creators broadly now is the average price of influencer content is going up. So
for sure, it absolutely is.
Everyone make sure that's reflected in your pricing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's nuts, man. It's a crazy industry. Who would have thought this would have existed a couple of years ago? But it's here.
No kidding.
I don't really see it going away anytime soon. So.
Well, neither do we.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
So with the skills that obviously you've gained in that, and obviously being a pilot is obviously your full-time job and you love it and it's going to be your job forever until you have to retire. But with social media being a second source of an income stream, considering that you weren't a creator prior to The Bachelor or any of the franchise stuff, do you really think that it is a really good source of income for a lot of creators? As we've seen, it has been for a lot of people, but what's your opinion on it? Obviously, this is your second, not your first.
Right. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's an incredible, stream of income for sure. I think there's definitely tiers of, specifically, I can just speak from the Bachelor franchise, of people that have come out and, from the show, and however many years removed they are, there's definitely tiers on who's been the most successful and semi-successful and kind of just like faded off. So I think that's it definitely, I think, is difficult to, I think very, very few people from the franchise have been able to kind of like distance themselves from the franchise and kind of rebrand, if you will, to just go their own whatever route they want to do, and kind of have that brand for them. You're kind of always going to be tied to the show, and for me, I don't mind. It was cool, but yeah, it's incredible opportunities, and it's tough to say no to it, and especially like when it's something that you really like connect with, and you're definitely on board with it. It's a win-win.
In refining your personal brand, because you weren't a creator before the show, what skills have you had to learn that maybe didn't come naturally to you?
Oh man, it's funny. I don't know why my music on Instagram got blocked, or got blocked. I can't put in, how
some
on
weird
story,
stuff's been happening to me like that too. Yeah.
It happens to you too?
It did a couple months ago. Yeah. I
don't know why. For whatever reason, have never, maybe for like the first month or two when it came out, I could put songs on. And so now I don't have that option. It always, doesn't give me any songs to pick from.
Is this just the stickers on your stories, or does this apply to Reels too?
On stories. Okay. Yeah, stories.
Yeah, that's what I was doing to me.
That's kind of like
updated your apps?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've done it all. I've reached out.
Did you try turning it off and turning it back on?
Just wanted to make sure everybody has the latest update.
Wait, what an idea. No, I need to try that.
Novel.
No, yeah. I've tried all that. It's and I've reached out to Instagram and nothing. And it's funny. Like the one time that I wasn't gonna get verified. I look back on it now and I'm like, oh, it's kind of stupid. But I didn't want to get sucked into this verification and the check and everything. I'm like, I don't want that. Now just for security reasons, it's extremely smart, and it would have been a very dumb choice for me not to do that. But they actually verified me without ever my consent or anything. And I was mad at first. I was like, what the heck, guys? And then, but they won't get back to me for freaking for the music. So
you just logged in one day and you had a blue check. And you're like, oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
I look back and I'm like, what an idiot, Peter. I literally wrote a DM to Instagram saying, guys, I want you to remove this check. I do not want this. I legitimately did. I was like, I don't want to be in this group. I just don't.
Did you delete that or unsend that?
No.
It's still there somewhere.
Yeah, it's still somewhere.
They probably just sent you a thumbs up and we're like, okay.
Yeah, they're like, this guy
funny.
is ridiculous. Who the hell is this guy?
That's funny.
Yeah, so, it is what it is. Funny.
But so obviously, not only through Instagram, I know we've talked a lot about Instagram, but you also, as a creator, have been able to expand upon different platforms like your podcast, Bachelors in the City, with your roommate Dustin. So do you want to talk to us a little bit about that? I actually have listened to quite a few of your episodes, and I really enjoy your podcast. So kudos to you and to Dustin. But so tell us a little bit about it, why you kind of fell into it, and how the experience has been.
Yeah, again, one of those things that never would have thought I would have, been co-hosting a podcast, and just a cool opportunity that we kind of ran with. Dustin actually brought the idea to me when we first moved in together in New York. He had a connection with, this podcasting company, and he had been thinking about doing it. So naturally, it just was like, yeah, let's kind of, have a podcast about just everyday life, two guys living in the city, New York City, just moving here, and then obviously tie in a little bit of a Bachelor talk. You got to do that a little bit, but it's been awesome. We just went over our 100th episode.
Wow!
A couple episodes ago, and
that's a huge milestone.
It's very, very cool to see it kind of take off, and again, never expected it. I grew to really enjoy it. At first, I was like, I don't know if this is my thing, but it's like every time we record a session, it's like you always are left with like this high, and you're like, oh, that's why I do it. It's been a lot of fun. I've definitely enjoyed it.
One thing I appreciate about your personal brand, and Dustin included, is just how genuine you are. You guys are so relatable. You're not famous people that live off, in some far-fetched land, but you're really solid guys that I think anyone and everyone can connect to. So I appreciate that, and I think that definitely comes out in the podcast. Yeah. In addition to the podcast, you also put out a children's book last year, correct?
Yes.
You want to tell us about that?
Yes. That's probably been one of the greatest gifts that I've received from this kind of life-changing opportunity, was the opportunity to do that. And again, sounds like a broken record, never expected to do that, but very grateful that it came out my way. And at first I was going to kind of do like maybe a book more traditional, like on tell all or something about the show, and decided not to go that route. And it wasn't even my idea at first. Then my publisher was like, well, what about like a children's book? And I was like, boom. The second he said that, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell my actual first love story with aviation, and how that came to be from a very little kid all the way up to getting to on with United Airlines and achieving my my lifelong dream. So that was a really great process. I enjoyed every bit of it, from the illustrating and setting all the concepts in, and writing it, and just learning. I learned so much. I never knew how to publish a book and what went along with that, and placing orders and doing all this, and then to the launch party, and having so many great friends come support, my family come support, and then the coolest part is just I still get it, just random messages, just DMs on Instagram, and it's a mom or a dad just sending a picture with their little kid reading the book, and like super into it. And like there's this one like message that always stands out to me. It was this little boy, sweet little boy, that he's autistic, and it's the only book, his mom said, the only book that he would read. And every like night he goes up onto the second they have like stairs, like a staircase, he goes onto the second stair, that's his spot, and he like opens up my book. And I'm like, that to me it's just a feeling of like so much love that I really never expected to feel. And it was definitely an amazing passion project, and again, definitely the best gift that's come out of it for me.
What an impact. That's incredible. Do you consider yourself an author now? Like when you introduce yourself, do you ever say, I'm an author? Is there more work in the future to come, or TBD?
I guess, yeah, technically I am. I do want to, ideally, I would like to. The Adventures of Pilot Pete's the name of my book, and the first one is my actual real story from a little kid to where I'm at now. With a little bit of eggs. What's the term? Easter eggs thrown in there for the Bachelor franchise, but. I have, aspirations to make a series, and now make it very, fictional, and just have, cool adventures, traveling all around the world, make it educational for kids, and just kind of tie in some of my real world experiences in whatever destination, and then, make up some stuff, and again, educational for them. So haven't found the time to do that yet, but it's definitely on the list.
I think that's awesome. And so one other question in regards to all of the other stuff you've done, but we heard a little rumor that The Bachelorette was not the first time you were ever on TV. Is that correct? Were you on Days of Our Lives way back in like 2003? One episode.
Look at you guys. Yes. Yes, that is true.
So do you remember that?
I do. It was I had one line. It was I played a young Roman on Days of Our Lives. I had never seen Days of Our Lives, didn't know what the show was about, but went in for this audition, and it was like a scene for like a throwback memory of the main characters on the show going back to their childhood, and so I played a young Roman on that, and I guess that was technically my first experience in front of the camera, but nothing like actually serious. And never would have, envisioned doing this however many years later. But yeah,
it's like a foreshadowing. You know, you were.
Yeah, you certainly weren't a one-hit wonder after that one line appearance.
I guess so.
You got a lot more lines after that.
Pete, you shared some real wisdom, and we appreciate everything that you've brought to the show and for our other creators to benefit from, especially hearing about dealing with the challenges and the emotional hurdles of becoming such a well-known person on social media these days. We really appreciate your advice and your vulnerability with us today. I think we're going to close out our time in a fun way. This is something that we're going to call speed dating. So you're going to speed date Anna real quick. Basically, she's just going to ask you a bunch of rapid-fire questions.
They're not hard, I promise.
Are simple questions, but a lot of people probably don't know about you.
Exactly.
So we'll have a little fun with it and let it fly.
All right,
sweet.
So question number one, I think I already know the answer to this, but this is a question that we want to ask all of our guests when they come on the podcast. It's, what did you actually want to be when you grew up? From a little kid, it was aviation themed, but I was obsessed with space. I wanted to be the first. I wanted to be the first pilot, astronaut, to fly the first mission to Mars. That was always my dream growing up. With my dad, we'd always go and watch all the Apollo movies and all the Air and Space museums, and so I was obsessed with space. Got to go to space camp in 4th grade, and it was incredible. And then from there, definitely was not smart enough to become an astronaut. Like, those are like the cream of the crop, right? Like the top of the top. I'm sure you could have done it.
Well, appreciate the confidence, yeah. And then obviously just having my dad, be an airline pilot, I got to see that firsthand on so many different occasions. I was like, this is what I was born to do.
That's awesome. Okay, now I'll ask them fast. I didn't think we were going to get a different answer for that. So excited.
Yeah, I guess a little switch up. Yeah.
Okay, so favorite color?
Red.
Most fascinating person you've ever met?
Ooh, I would say, oh boy, this has got to be quick now. This is pressure.
It's okay. It's okay. You can take a couple seconds. We won't time you.
We'll ask them quick. You don't have to answer.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say, honestly, I would say Kygo. Kygo, the DJ. He's been my all-time favorite artist for ever since I heard his music for the first time, and I had actually an opportunity to go meet him from the show, and so that was just like such a cool experience. But honestly, like from the entire show, that's like one of my top memories of being able to go meet Kygo and like go on stage with him for one of his shows. Like that was pretty cool.
Killer answer.
Okay, that was a good answer. It was definitely worth the wait.
Okay.
So what's the last book that you read?
The Alchemist.
Ooh, okay. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie is Top Gun, obviously.
Classic.
You've seen the most recent one?
Top Gun Maverick, the second one, is Tom Cruise. That's who I just met recently, too.
Oh,
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise?
I knew I was blanking. Yeah, I got to go to the premiere for Top Gun. Unreal. Top Gun, the original one, was my dad and I's favorite movie. I got to take my dad to the premiere. We got to go to San Diego, where they had on the aircraft carrier the whole red carpet, Tom Cruise showing up in a helicopter, landing, walking out with his suit and aviators on. I'm like, that's Maverick in the flesh, and got to take a picture with him. So Tom Cruise as well.
Isn't that dude like 59 years old?
59. It looks incredible. Takes really good care of himself. I don't know, but
and they do all the flying themselves. It blows my mind.
And he's a real pilot too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The most recent movie I think quickly moved into my top 3 of all time. It was so well done.
So well done. Yeah, we got to have actually on our podcast the aerial stunt coordinator. The aerial cinematographer that would shoot all the air-to-air scenes. He got to come on our podcast and got to just pick his brain, and it was super, super cool. Got to nerd out.
Our creative director, photo video guy Harrison over here, who you can't see off the camera, you just blew his mind. His eyes like rolled into the back of his head.
It was very cool, and it was insane. Every shot that you see, nothing is CG'd in regards to whether that was actually flying in real life. Whatever they're shooting, it may not be the actual skin. It may be like a smaller jet, and they put this, whatever the SR-71 Blackbird type jet into like the skin. But every scene is actually an airplane flying. Nothing CG.
Wow.
Legit.
My mind is blown.
Yeah,
okay.
It's insane.
Morning or night person?
Nights.
Favorite restaurant in New York?
Ooh, I'm going to say I recently just found it. It's called Arthur and Sons, and it's an amazing Italian restaurant in the West Village. And I love Italian food. It's between that and sushi, but I'm going to go with Arthur and Sons, West Village. Check it out. They're opening up in Miami as well, I believe. But right now it's just in New York.
Let's add it to the list.
Okay, I'm going to add it to the list. All right,
Yes.
Ideal first date in New York?
Ideal first dates. Honestly, I'm such a sucker for renting city bikes and just riding around Central Park, riding on like the West Side Highway, especially like on a beautiful day, just enjoying it and the views and stopping and just getting some good food on the river there. I'm a big city bike person.
Love it. Love to hear it. All right, last show that you binge watched?
So I'm actually not that big of a show watcher, but the last one I did was I forgot the name of it. It was with Kevin Hart. It was a serious. He was really serious in it. It wasn't like a comedy. It was about the murder that goes on, and
Our fact checkers are on it. I know what you're talking about, but I haven't seen it either, so I don't know the name.
Is he in Only Murders in the Building?
No, he's
No,
not.
he's
That's
not
a
in
great
that
show,
show.
by the way.
Good show.
In New York, if you haven't seen that.
Highly recommend.
no, I haven't. Yeah. No, the Kevin Hart one, and it was so cool. I actually got to.
Is it called
Comedy
True
Stars, like,
Story?
True Story. Yes.
There we go.
Thanks, fact
Look at those
checkers.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I got to. We were one of the cool things in New York is the Comedy Cellar. Me and my friends, we love going. We were just there last night, and it's super cool because sometimes you'll just have stars randomly show up. You have no idea you're coming. And Kevin Hart and Chris Rock showed up both two times ago. We went, and it was just like mind blowing. He's my favorite comic, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
I love that. All right, so what is your favorite brand that you've ever been able to post, like a brand deal?
My favorite brand's United Airlines.
Good answer.
Guess that
Good
counts.
answer.
They do pay it.
Yeah. Technically, they do pay me, and I post about them a lot. So United, and then in regards to what you're actually asking, let's see here. Bulletproof, I really enjoyed working with. I had a really good opportunity with them, and probably the one I use the most is Uber. Obviously, just living in the city.
Love it.
So.
It's great. All right, so here's our final question of speed dating.
This is what the people really want to know.
This is what everyone really wants to know. And you can truly just say yes or no.
Okay.
But, Peter, are you single?
Yes, I am single.
Okay.
There we go.
And that
Single
concludes.
in New York City.
That
There you go,
concludes
ladies.
our first round of speed dating. Thank you for joining
Yeah,
us.
thanks for being our guinea pig.
Hey, yeah, this has been it's been good, guys. A lot of fun.
Peter, we appreciate you. We appreciate the person that you are, and especially the way that you use your platform. Thank you for coming on the show and just providing a lot of sound wisdom, good advice, and
Lots
good
of
conversation
honesty.
for us. We wish you and the rest of the guys all the best as you continue on your journeys.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited to see where you guys take this podcast, and definitely got to get a trip planned here soon and meet you guys in person. So
Very soon.
thanks
We would
again
love
for having me.
that.
We got some things in the works, and we'll keep you
We do.
posted. Thanks, Pete.
Awesome, good stuff.
Good to
Bye,
see you.
thanks,
All right, guys.
Pete.